Hello, and welcome back to the podcast. I am super excited for this week's guest because she is one of my dear business buddies. We've been in each other's world for quite some time, and this guest is on for a special hot seat episode today where we're trying to troubleshoot some headaches, obstacles, hurdles, questions that she has, and hopefully give her some ideas to walk away with and implement in her business. So today's guest is Rachel Smith. She is a freelance journalist and copywriter. She's based in Sydney, just like me. And Rachel loves using her words to help clients solve business problems. She also runs the show at Rachel's List, a jobs board and membership for word nerds of all kinds. And she happens to also be a retention lab member. So I know Rachel is all about clever hacks and strategies to make her brand even more human in a somewhat automated way where possible, right? So welcome to the show, Rach.
Thank you. I have to say, you have introduced me to a lot of very cool hacks. So I'm loving being in the lab. This is kind of new for me. I'm being in someone else's membership. So it's really cool.
It's always nice to be on the other side of an experience, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I feel like different perspectives, another set of eyes, it absolutely always helps. So before we get started with your headache/question, whatever we want to call it, I would love you to give our listeners just a little bit of background. Obviously, I touched on who you are and how amazing you are, but can you just give people a bit of an idea? You know, how you landed where you are today, how it all evolved.
Yeah, sure. So I've been freelancing for over 25 years. And as you said, I juggle two businesses. I also have a podcast called The Content Bite and another sort of secret podcast for another part of my membership, but that one's not public. And I use a really good color-coded calendar to keep everything going. But so my day job, you touched on that. I work as a journalist and a copywriter. So one day I might be writing a magazine article, or I might be working on a client's web copy or their email newsletters. And in between that, I might record a podcast episode, or I'll be in my group answering questions or planning expert trainings for the membership, running challenges or writing different kinds of content. And behind the scenes, I'm probably making endless rounds of Vegemite toast for my 11-year-old. So it's very busy. But I came from the magazine world and I was very deep in that. I was a sub-editor. I was a movie reviewer for 10 years and I wrote for loads of women's magazines. And then that work slowly started to go a little bit. And so I just sort of saw the writing on the wall and thought, I'm going to edge into content and copy. And so that is where I have sort of fallen. And that's where most of my work is. But Rachel's List started around that time when I was transitioning because I was really lonely. There wasn't the freelance community that there is now. And so I sort of set out to build it in a rough sort of organic way. And now that has grown into Rachel's List, which is this huge community. There's thousands of people in it. And we have paid membership. We have a jobs board, which is free for all kinds of job posters to find writers of all kinds, copywriters, journalists, PRs, editors, content pros. So it's a really big undertaking and I sort of run that alongside my freelance work.
Just right? Like one of the many hats.
My God.
Oh, it sounds like you have a whole lot on your plate.
Yes.
The Vegemite toast probably can be the most demanding at times. I can relate.
Yes.
Oh, man. But I just love how, working across multiple businesses can give you so many different perspectives. Like you're on the receiving end of that job search and trying to find clients, which obviously gives you like a really good perspective around what your members may need. So it's that perfect organic blend of the two.
Yeah.
But I can imagine running that membership with thousands of members can also come with a lot of challenges. Do you have a team to support you?
I have a small freelance team, 2 VAs, and I have like my marketing wing woman who is sort of a mixture of everything. She's the ultimate unicorn. She's kind of my talk me off the ledge person. She knows digital marketing. She can do ads. She can, she is my kind of unofficial editor when I have a newsletter that I wanted to run her eye over. So she's great. And then I have a VA who is kind of we're all in Slack together. And then I have another VA who sort of uploads a lot of my evergreen content. So it's all, yeah, it all sort of runs smoothly, sort of, with their
Sounds
help.
very efficient.
Mm.
Like small team, but everyone is bringing different skills and perspectives to the table.
Yes.
So good. But yeah, I feel like your headache/question really feeds into that where, as a small team and you looking after so many things, being
Mm.
super efficient with your email marketing and automations is critical to keep
Yes.
everything on track, to support your members in a somewhat scalable way while still making them feel like you know where they're up to, how long they've been around, and that's something we're going to look into today. So do you want to tell people about your
My
headache question, whatever we want to call it?
Okay. Well, yeah, you're absolutely right. I think email, I love email. I do it for other clients. And I worked out the other day, I send probably about 47,000 emails to 3,000 people every month at Rachel's
Wow.
List. So lots of emails are going through. We're on MailerLite, we were on Active Campaign, and we ran screaming from them. The automations over there just kind of did my head in.
Yeah.
And so MailerLite it was like Christmas, because it's quite easy to do automations and it's easy to put them together. But so what I struggle with is I wonder if the automations I'm doing are effective and also if they should be more complex in some ways or more segmented in some ways. So yeah, with our email subscribers, we have I'm so loath to admit this, but when you've got a small team and you're super busy, you do drop some balls. And I know that everyone should have a first name tag, but they don't. So we try to keep that up to date as much as possible, but it does impact personalizing your emails and how you do that. And I don't know how much that impacts the effectiveness of your emails if people don't feel like you're talking directly to them. So that's one little
Yeah.
thing. Yeah, that's a lot of little things, actually. You can start there.
Yes. But I reckon personalization and linking that to first name is
Yeah.
totally overrated. Because,
Right.
I reckon, because we're all very smart nowadays. Like, gone are the days where you felt like someone saying, "Hey, Nadine," or "Hey, Rach,"
Mm.
personally is addressed to you, right? Like, we all
Yeah.
know there's automations happening. So I actually don't start my emails with "Hi, Rach," or
No?
"Hi, whatever." No.
Okay. I
And
couldn't remember if you did or not.
no. So I don't really address people by
Mm-hmm.
their first name in most instances. I'm just trying to think. I have my welcome email actually. The subject line is first name specific. So, but also my subscribers all have first names. So, but
Mm-hmm.
inside emails, I actually don't use first name. So I use other strategies to then feed in content or information that
Mm-hmm.
feels highly relevant. So stepping away from that first name, but personalizing it in other ways. So I don't think having no first name for all of your subscribers is necessarily a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Do you capture first names for members? Like all the members have first names?
We do now, but but there are others that were captured in a different way before we relaunched. So yeah, it's an ongoing
Yeah.
project to update those records.
Yeah.
And so I use hey there or hi a lot.
I think that totally works. Like you can
Yeah.
have a totally personalized experience without addressing people by name. So I wouldn't stress about that. What I would look at, and I know before we chatted before the episode, tagging and segmenting was something you were looking at as well. I would totally be super strategic with tagging
Mm-hmm.
or segmenting. I don't know how MailerLite handles it, whether it's a segment or tag type situation.
It's segments, yeah.
Segments. So I would totally try to keep track of anything really that you can track. So, for example, I know you have an application flow for
Mm-hmm.
members. I thought that was a really great starting point. I don't know whether should we start with that? Take a
Sure.
closer look at that. So, Rachel, before the episode, shared her current setup with me, and it's pretty straightforward. Someone has to apply on Rachel's website to start the process. So they find out about Rachel's list, her membership, and if they're interested, they complete this application form. which then triggers Rachel to have a look. And if accepted, they go into this application flow with a whole bunch of emails that, follow up, bust objections, do a whole lot of work, but it's all linear.
Yes.
And it feels like, am I right? Like everyone receives the same email no matter what actions they take. Is that right?
They do. This is a really new automation that I put together, but I have set it up so that if they at some point in the automation buy membership, because that it's kind of
Yeah.
it's kind of like triggering them to go and buy the actual membership because it's not something they can do on the
Mhm.
website. They need to be approved by us and then they get the pricing page. So if they buy it, I've set it up that they will be taken out
Yeah.
somehow. But that's
Yeah.
as far as I've gone with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So I've had a few ideas because you're asking some really good questions, obviously, on the intake form. Do you have an ability to somehow feed what they select in the intake form into MailerLite? Like tag them in a certain way based on what they select?
No, because it's kind of in a separate type form. But I suppose we could add those fields into MailerLite. But
Even I'm
whether
sure there would be, Zapier or Make.
Zapier,
I'm
yeah.
100% certain if you wanted to take it down that path that you could link up the form to Zapier or Make preferences, right? And then tag people accordingly on the back end. And what you could do then, so some of the questions, for example, in the application form, I've got them here in front of me, is what do you hope to get out of being a member of Rachel's list? So connections, jobs, learning from experts, accountability. Another question here is what type of freelancer are you? Journalist, copywriter. Another one, how many years of experience do you have? So early career, mid-level, senior. So what you could do is tag people in line with their responses. And you could use conditional content, which MailerLite makes totally easy. Based on the tag they have, you display personalized text. You could basically create an onboarding or application flow where every email touches on what they told you in the application flow. So if they clicked, for example, I'm all here for the connections, then, for example, in the Q&A email, you could, for those people, display questions that are around, like how do the live calls work or how do I get to connect? Whereas if someone ticks, I'm here for the jobs, you could then go, like how does the job process work? How do the job boards work? So every email then becomes this personalized sales process almost. And you wouldn't even have to create separate emails with conditional content. You would just create different snippets. So display this if someone is tagged, connections. Display this if someone has the tag jobs. Display this if someone has. So you create one email, set up these conditional fields in there, and then all of a sudden the email sends no matter what, but every message is totally bespoke to what they told you in the intake form.
That sounds so scary, though. What if you got it wrong?
If they ticked it. Like you'd think they take the time to tick it properly. So
wow. I didn't even think of doing that because all our answers go into a spreadsheet and then we sometimes run some of those sections through AI for analysis and stuff like that. But yeah, we don't really pull it back into fields in MailerLite. So that makes perfect sense to me. That's got my brain firing.
And that doesn't even have to be something that you then carry on in the messaging once they're in the membership, because obviously that might change. Once they're in, they might have joined for the connections, but they actually go, oh my God, like the guest experts are my favorite part. So, you only have to use those tags in the application form or in the application flow. But that way you sort of like have this bespoke channel for every response. And you don't have to tap into all the tags in every email. But like objections, for example, you can pull specific objections someone might have around community. Like, I can't make live calls around the jobs.
I'm not on Facebook, so I can't be in the community.
Every email basically becomes this totally bespoke sales channel, and you don't have to keep track of it. You set it up once. Takes a little bit of time, obviously, but if you do it properly, I reckon your conversion rates from application through to people actually joining are going to go up because it's just so specific.
Yeah, I love that idea. Okay. Cool.
Another thing, because, I'm obsessed with email and I'm with Drip, which has very similar functionality to MailerLite. And once I started looking into it, it's just like I'm just obsessed because it's so easy. You just need to really embed it into the way you look at your emails. So another thing you could do is using trigger links to track whether people are actually clicking. So
Hmm.
let's say there are, how many emails are in that sequence? Is it 6?
6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's say 6 emails. So rather than just linking through to that join page as a regular link, you could turn that into a trigger link, meaning,
Hmm.
I don't know what MailerLite calls it, but a trackable link where someone clicks and then an action happens on the back end. And you could have a bit of code. It's all possible for custom fields. So you could set up a custom field for people to keep track of how many times they click on the sales page
Hmm.
but don't join. And then, for example, let's say before the last email, if someone has clicked 3 times, you could set that parameter, but 3 times, they're still in that flow, they haven't joined. Clearly there's some traction. You could then trigger a task, for example, in, like, I personally use Bonjoro
Hmm.
to remind you that, someone's a hot lead, send them a video message.
I do Zoom clips for that, but
Or
yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah.
even if you, trigger a Slack or an email to yourself even to go, check in with, I don't know, Brad, that's his email. He's in the lead process. He's clicked 3 times. You send him a quick message and you might be able to clear up whatever questions he's got, whatever hesitations. And it just means it tracks for you. The email system tracks for you who's a super hot lead. People who don't click, they just complete. They're clearly not quite ready, whatever didn't
Mm.
align. But interfering or intervening with those hot leads gives you that opportunity to open up a conversation.
So how do you do that with your end without sounding
Mm.
like a complete stalker?
I always frame it in a very non-stalkery kind of way. So I usually go, like a little birdie tells me, you might be interested, but something clearly doesn't click for you. So this is just an open invitation to reach out, hit reply if there's anything I can do for you to decide either way. I'm not here to sell you into joining. It is just an invitation. Some people never reply, but a lot of people are going to come back to you and go, this is awesome. I actually have a question.
Okay.
So yeah, like you don't want to sell them into it. It's just, there's someone, tells me
Yeah.
and, they know this analytics and tracking.
Yeah.
But that might be, again, something to just capture people who are super hot.
Awesome.
And again, like you don't have to set it low. Like we all know what it's like. If there's an offer, we all click across and check out the sales page, right? So if you set it at 3 or 4 clicks and this custom field, adds a +1 every time someone clicks, like if you check it out 4 times, there's clearly something there. And it just means it's manageable for you in your flow. But
Hmm.
you might just
I
convert
love
that
that
one
idea.
person. And again, it's all automated. It sits in the flow to just send you a little, job to Slack or however you want to manage it.
Yes. I love that because that's all managed manually now. We might look at someone who's opened it 27 times or something and go, oh,
Yeah.
that person. But also, that's another ball dropping moment for me because I'd go, oh, that person's really keen. They're obviously going to convert. But
Mm.
I didn't think to do a kind of Bonjoro reach
Yeah.
out. Yeah. I love that idea
Yeah.
too.
And you know what? People actually appreciate being proactive. I
Hmm.
feel it's that, the invitation. A lot of people have questions, but they don't know how to contact you. They don't want to hit reply to a random email because they know it's like a system email. Reaching out with a personal email that comes from your Gmail or personal email
Mm.
is a whole different conversation.
What about like if they hit the last thing and they haven't converted, what would you do at that point? Would you just let them exit the flow or would you keep it going or touch base with them every couple of months or how would you continue that
Yeah,
conversation?
personally, I feel like if you've given them that many opportunities, they haven't really engaged. Maybe it's, money, not the right time. Like we know what it's like. We're interested today and then something comes up. So I personally would just like feed them into your regular newsletter,
Hmm.
but again, give them opportunity in the future to
Hmm.
potentially re-enter like a nurture flow. So maybe in 3 months' time, check whether they've joined. If they're in 3 months' time not a member, just send them even like a one-off email reminding them that 3 months ago you
Mm.
decided, or, you were interested, maybe it wasn't the right time, just checking, are you still interested? And you can even have like a little poll in the email, yes, no, or tell me more. And based on what they click, you can potentially feed them into an evergreen flow that sort of rehashes the
Mhm.
features and get them to reapply
Mhm.
because their situation might have changed. Plus, you want to update any
Yep.
tags you might have.
Yeah.
If they say no, it's like, fine. They
Okay.
just go on their merry way. And then it could even be, maybe potentially you send them one email. If they engage with that, you then put them into the flow. So I would definitely keep checking in with them on a regular
Mm.
basis, but make it on a opt-in type of basis. Tell me if you're still keen. If not, that's totally fine. I'll let you be.
Mm.
But clearly at some point it spoke to them. So I
Yeah.
would keep up that conversation.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting with those. Like, I've got one for the job posters too. So they get an email saying, "Hey,
Mm,
we've put your job on the jobs board. It's going out in our newsletters shortly." And then 2 weeks later, it says, "Hey, have you filled the role? Do you want us to extend it or whatever?" And it takes them through. I think there might be also some that say, come circle back around 3 months
mm.
later. Have you got anything new to post or
Yeah.
whatever? But I struggle with all these automations that kind of ask for feedback. I just
Mm,
hardly ever get feedback, and it's only personalized emails,
yeah.
direct one-on-ones that help you get that
Mm.
feedback. So, have you got any tips on trying to get feedback via automations?
Yeah, so I have feedback forms or feedback requests in any onboarding sequence after someone
Mhm.
purchases one of my toolkits or courses.
Yeah.
But what I do is I incentivize
Okay. Let's
if
see,
they
that's
come.
something I don't do.
Yeah, if they complete it. Not like I make it very clear, I'm not incentivizing you to give me good feedback. I just want your honest feedback. I use Elizabeth Goddard's, just trying to think what she's calling it, cash to your business or something. Like it's like a system she's designed where, you get $9 in can do cash, as I call it, to
Mhm.
use on anything I sell in my business in the next 6 months. But you totally don't have to systemize it that way. I feel like even linking to a resource that might be highly relevant for people or a super popular guest expert session, something that people might
Mm.
want to access in return for sharing their thoughts
Mhm.
might work a treat. And what you could do is just link to the form, and as soon as they submit it, it links through to whatever resource you have.
Mhm.
It's definitely worth trying. I feel people are so busy nowadays.
Yeah.
Like it's like another thing to complete, another thing to do. Whereas if there's something on the other end of that
Mm.
survey, and make it clear, like it's 2 minutes, super short. I want your honest feedback. Anything I can do to make it better, let
Mhm.
me know. And just
Mm.
test and see whether that maybe impacts something.
Yes, I will try all of that. Oh gosh. Is there any I know you've had a little look at some of the automations. Are there any automations you think I'm missing or where I could be leaving money on the table in ways I might not be seeing?
I definitely think an evergreen nurture sequence of those people who
Mhm.
applied and
Mhm.
for whatever reason never converted. So, keep looping in with them. As long as they stay
Mhm.
on your list, they're clearly interested. So, set up something that potentially even shares case studies. I wonder whether you can just invite them, check in. Are you interested to find out more? Do you want me to remind you of the awesome things waiting for you inside?
Mm.
And then, potentially case studies, results, amazing feedback from people, just things to show the
Mhm.
value, basically. Like this is waiting for you. This is what you could have.
Mhm.
Yeah, definitely that, because putting the effort into getting people to convert obviously gives you that recurring revenue. So it's definitely, I think, should be your starting point over nurture sequences for individual standalone products that you might have.
Mhm.
Because, if you get that right, it's going to convert even people that sign up today, apply, don't take action. It's going to keep them in your orbit and keep your membership front of mind for when that time is right.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'll definitely do that.
Mm.
Yeah.
The
It's a
other one, I had a look at your membership onboarding.
Yeah.
journey, because I always feel like there's so much opportunity there.
Yeah.
And it's very similar. Again, I don't think you have to overcomplicate things, particularly because your membership involves, live sessions. And so you're in contact with a lot of your members all
Hmm.
the time. But even little things and keeping track of how long people have been in your membership inside your email platform,
Yes.
and then celebrating milestones, triggering certain
I do
celebrations.
that. I do that in a little way,
Mm,
but I did think, what could I be doing better here if somebody hits? Also, I'm
mm,
thinking, what if they hit 3 months or 6 months and think, well, I really don't know why I'm here, and they
yeah,
leave?
yeah.
So that was like kind of worrying me, like even having that email sequence.
Yeah, but it's, again, a lot of it you can automate. So in like my onboarding sequence for Retention Lab is a year long.
Hmm.
It's
Okay.
very, yeah. So it keeps you in the loop. It checks in with you. It's all, just trying to think. Most of it is automated. Again, I've got certain milestones where I will check in with you via
Hmm.
personal video message. But again, that triggers based on things happening or you
Hmm.
not doing certain things that I wanted you to do by now.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's fully mapped out. So I don't have to touch it. You sort of go through it. It checks whether certain things have happened or haven't happened and
Hmm.
sends you certain things. So I definitely think, if you have an intake form, do people reply or like complete an intake form when they join?
Not really. They just do the application form,
Yeah.
and then we sort of take it from there and we
Yeah.
say,
Okay.
hey, you're approved. Here's,
Mm,
you know, here's everything. And
yeah.
here's how to choose, the membership that's right for you.
Yeah.
So they get that. And then if they don't immediately upgrade to a paid membership, they just go into that sequence
Yeah.
where we show them behind the scenes and talk words from other members and what they think and all of that. But yeah, you're saying
Yeah.
that could be longer.
Yeah. Well, no. I'm just thinking when they sign up. So as they sign
Yeah.
up,
Yeah.
like I know we
I
said
think mine
the
stops at
tags they
6 months.
have, which
Yeah.
is like that's a lot more than
Yeah.
other people have. So it's good. But you could totally use the intake form or like the application form tags
Yeah.
in a bespoke onboarding sequence. Again, you would do conditional content, but you assume if they've applied, even 3 weeks ago, they joined today, without being inside the membership, nothing would have changed around their
Hmm.
motivations, right? Like the experience level is still the same, what they do is the same, and what they applied for would also still be the same. So you could, again, with conditional content, even just create like a mini journey for the first month. Let's
Hmm.
assume, it takes about a month to settle in, to attend your first guest expert session, apply for your first job. So use that intake form or application. I keep calling it intake form. The application form data to, again, be like personalize those first emails and what you point them towards. So
Hmm.
if someone came for the jobs, again, remind them, here's the jobs, this is the process. So make sure it's easy for them to apply and land, hopefully, that first job.
Hmm.
Community, you would potentially steer them towards something else. These are your community opportunities. Make sure you introduce yourself in the community. This is what happens when you do that. So share, connections that have happened. So maybe spend the first month on specifically targeting what they've told you, their biggest
Hmm.
motivation,
Hmm.
which then hopefully leads to the first quick win. So if they get
Yeah.
one quick win in the first month, they're likely to keep up that momentum.
Hmm.
What you can then also do, just to give you, again, opportunity to target them in specific ways, if you have special promotions that you want to only target at people, for example, that have been there 3 months. In that flow, what I do in mine is I keep sort of track against each subscriber how long they've been in the membership, so my email platform knows. So after it's been 2 months, I add a tag, Retention Lab, 2+ months.
Hmm.
After 4 months, I remove the 2 months tag and tag them as 4 months, 6 months, etc.
Hmm.
So, for example, if there's an end of financial year offer
Hmm.
to upgrade to annual or, whatever special promotion to commit longer term, you could decide, if someone's only been in for a month, it's very unlikely they're going to upgrade. So you could go, maybe anyone who's been here longer than 4 months receives this special offer. And that just means you don't have to cross-reference platforms and, your membership database to find out who has been in the membership how long. So that's like a basic thing I would do just to give you some insights. And again, keep track of, who's in which group. Another thing, which again depends on, probably doesn't really apply for your membership, but if you can somehow track actions and whether they're engaging in the community, you could, again, automate that. So in my membership retention lab, you would know, like you're getting invited every month to submit an execution. So that gives me visibility of how you are engaging with the formulas and with the features in the membership. And so I have a tag against every member when they join, no activity. And as soon as a custom field gets updated by submitting an Airtable form, and it sounds all techie, it's not really. So, someone submits their execution in Airtable, it updates a custom field in their profile, +1. So I can actually track how many actions they've taken. So if they get to 6 months and there's no activity, I actually sent these people like a somewhat direct email along the lines of, judging by your activity score. And I actually remind people in every email, like their score, how many actions they've taken. So, judging by your score, something's not working, or hopefully you've just been doing all the work in the background without ever submitting, in which case, amazing. But if not, I absolutely want to make sure you're on the right track. Like, reach out, let me know how I can support you. So if there is a way for you to measure how active or how inactive someone is, again, by tracking that via counts in custom fields or tags that you remove or add, that could be something to prevent churn because you're reaching out,
Yeah.
So it always sounds complex, but it's literally like sitting down and thinking about all the indicators that could indicate churn or someone being disengaged, and then potentially, hopefully, having some ability to get that into your email platform via Make or Zapier, some sort of automation that can track that for you.
Yeah, that definitely didn't occur to me before, how to bring MailerLite into the whole process. But how do you keep track of everything? Obviously in Airtable, but do you have a spreadsheet where you keep track of all your automations or segments or anything like that?
Most of it lives up here.
Yeah.
But I try to keep it simple as well. So I have, as I said, one onboarding flow for my membership. And what I try to do is work on one thing at a time.
Yeah.
So rather than like updating 15 things at once, I go hyper-focused on one for workflow, one automation. I think through, the tagging, what I need to know, how I can get information that I need to execute things into Drip, and then start from there. So literally going, what do I need to make this efficient? How can I get it to happen? And then once I've got all that tagging in place, I then build the emails with conditional content, the custom fields, the rules. So it takes a bit of time and effort to map out, plus a bit of tweaking. So like it's always worth every 3 months to have a look at the emails that are performing, anything that might need updating, because I'm sure your membership evolves as well. You maybe have new testimonials.
Yeah.
So it's like this ever evolving beast. But if you focus on the highest impact sequences and try and get those right, like in your instance, the application flow, I definitely would look at making more personalized, then potentially like a nurture sequence that kicks off 3 months down the track, and that member flow. If you can make that member experience hyper personalized while being automated, that secures your ongoing revenue, and it's definitely worth your time and energy, I reckon.
I love all that. I'm going to have to get my VA involved because she is like the Zapier queen who does all the. So basically, if somebody upgrades now, she's done a Zapier thing into Slack and it says, hey, somebody's just upgraded. You need to send them a video.
See?
And so, yeah. But that's
if
a
she's
new
got
thing.
that systems mindset, I reckon, like if you just give her a little job, like have a think about, like, what are we recording? How are we recording it? Can we get that into MailerLite? And even if you don't do anything with it right away, if you think it could be helpful down the track, I would totally just track it, and then, and then go from there.
Well, you've given me a lot to think about.
That's the whole point. And you don't have to do it all. That's the thing. People always go, oh my God, it's so much. I'm like, no. You just start thinking about what is the lowest hanging fruit with the highest impact. And then just the other things you can just, think about, build a list of things you want to add to your onboarding flow. Like you can chip away at that.
Yeah, it's an ongoing process, all of these things anyway.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But just being more strategic, I feel, like there's all this opportunity inside our email platform.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a matter of tracking it efficiently and using like custom fields, all these beautiful things that can make things so much more personalized.
Yes, I think I've definitely ignored custom fields and ignored segmenting because it didn't work in the same way as active campaigns. So I kind of got to know that very well. And then now I'm like, how is it different to groups? I'll just use groups because that's easy, but I will go back in and investigate all of that because there's obviously things I could be doing better.
And you know what a good starting point is too? Like sometimes my brain thinks up these hyper complex automations. And I actually go to Claude or ChatGPT because they're quite good at researching things like that and finding out these little formulas, for example, how to update custom fields and automatically add a +1 or, like add a certain value. And rather than you digging around in support documentation, I just throw this task at ChatGPT and go, chat, this is what I want to do in drip. Is it possible? If it's possible, how do I do this? Sometimes it gets it wrong. Most of the time, it's pretty damn good.
I've done that a few times as well with ChatGPT. Yeah.
Yes.
Gosh, well, I'm going to work on transforming my email automation. So thank you so much.
No, that's okay. And if you get stuck, you can always find me in Discord. In the lab. That's right.
Yeah.
But so exciting. It's one of my favorite things, email marketing. Oh my God.
Yeah.
So much
when
potential.
You get it right, it's really, it's amazing, isn't it?
It's the thought process behind it and the mapping, I feel, is the hardest part. Once you think the way your email platform works, it's like this automated thing. Whenever you build something, it's like, okay, I need to do this, it's, rewiring your brain, particularly if you've switched to a different platform. It takes a little while.
Well, I did an automation for my freelance business, which kind of people come along and they subscribe so that they can get my services guide. And then it takes them through what it's like to work with me and all the things I do and social proof, et cetera, et cetera. And Mish? So she signed up. And so anyway, I sent her a Voxer and I said, I'm totally not stalking you, but what did you think of my automation? So that was good when you see a friend has gone through it and can give you feedback.
Mystery shopping, always the best feedback, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. And can't test enough. Definitely.
No.
Amazing. I ask all my guests one particular question.
Yeah.
If you could ask anyone anything when it comes to your customer experience in your business, what would that be?
This isn't related to email marketing, but Rachel's List is, as well as being a really big community, it's also a free jobs board to find writers of all kinds. So I would love it to become the household name for finding a writer. So instead of going anywhere else, you just go straight to us for a copywriter, a journalist, whatever you need. But because so many different groups post with us, like we get blue chips, small businesses, academics, agencies, entrepreneurs, I want to know the most efficient and cost-effective way of getting the word out on a wide scale to all the groups. And I know it's probably advertising or PR, but I thought there may be other tactics I'm not familiar with that I could be missing. So that's my long-winded question.
Love it.
Burning question.
Let me sit on that and see who I can get on the show to give their 5 cents worth. I've got a few ideas, but I need to sleep on it. But great question. And I reckon there's going to be some really cool response we both haven't considered. So love
absolutely.
It.
Okay.
Amazing. So I will obviously link up various destinations to track you down online in the show notes. But if someone wanted to connect with you, what's the best platform to do that?
They can come to me at Rachel's List, or they could just come straight to my website, which is rachelsmith.com.au. I'm on LinkedIn, at Rachel Smith Sydney, and I'm on Instagram as well.
Awesome.
So yeah, come
So,
and
yeah.
find me, come and say hello. Always love connecting with new people.
Find Rachel in all the places. Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show, Rachel.
Thanks for
Hopefully you
having
walk
me.
away with lots of ideas.
Yeah, lending me your brain. It's really great.
Yay. Always
Yay.
good. And yeah, if you have listened and you would love your burning question answered on the show, make sure you head to the link in the show notes and submit your question. And it's either going to be myself or a guest expert who I'm going to get on the show to answer your burning headache/question for you. And yeah, if you enjoyed listening, please make sure you follow, hit subscribe in all the places, and share the show with your friends. And I will be back in your AirPods next week.